times in your life have you actually sat back and thought about, hey, these are my heroes, man. I love my heroes. These guys are Superman or Batman. I love Michael Jordan, Charles Barkley. These guys that you've seen coming up, these figures, Dr. J as example, that you watched growing up that plays the games any kind of sports. And you said to yourself, that is my hero right there, man. I want to be like him. I know a lot of y'all said that. I've never had that feeling like that. I guess, I grew up in the country. We were adopted from the city from my mother to my aunt who adopted us 5 kids. I never had a hero that I actually say, that's my man, or that's the person I love looking at. I was never that guy. I just never grew on me like that because I view my parents as my heroes, my everything, because they were there for me. And my siblings, they provided the things that nurture a young child. That was food, that was clothing, that was a roof over your head. Those things I look at because there's no hero or Michael Jordan, whoever, could provide those things for me or my family. I'm the type of person, I never go out buy name brand sneakers like Jordans. That's not who I am because that doesn't turn me on. You know what I'm saying? But my parents were these statues in my life that I gravitated towards, that I became my heroes because of the things that they gave us throughout our life. They gave us discipline, how to not be selfish, how to be respectful to other people, how to not do dumb things like steal from people and stuff like that, how not to lie. That's what my parents taught us. So that's why when people always try to say, hey, man, do you like this guy? This is your hero. And my first thing out of my mouth is no. No hero of mine is on television. My hero is always my parents, and I've lost all 4 of my parents. God rest their soul in heaven. But I lost all 4 of my parents, and I love them for that. I've loved them being the people in my life that I could look up to and take some of the stuff from my parents and then integrate it into my life, to help me become a better person, to help me become a better father, a better man to a woman, showing me how to love, how to show affectionate when you need to show it, how to be this guy that takes responsibility and deal with it. If you made a mistake in life, my father would say, you fix it. You don't make that same mistake twice. You fix it. I've done that, though. I made the same mistake twice. I've done it. So I'm the first to say I did. I didn't listen to what my father said. But the third time around, I got a better understanding of what he was saying. And my father was big on certain things that articulated down to myself and some of my siblings. Because I've learned that you cannot do anything for free. Nothing is free in life. Somebody wants something from you, or they give you something. Let me rephrase that. They give you something. It is not free. It comes with something on the back end all the time. My father always said that, hey, if somebody give you something free, they're going to want something back in return. It could be whatever. He said, be careful with that. Be careful. And I've learned that from him. That's why I say I look at my father and my mother as my heroes, because they gave me that proper guidance or things to watch out for in my life as it comes towards me. And I've learned that anything that you want in this world, you have to work for it. And you have to work hard. You don't have to compete against somebody because your biggest competition is yourself. You compete against you, get what you want in life. You don't compete against other people. But when you walk in that and look in that mirror and see, the only person you're going to see in that mirror is you. You're not going to see someone else in that mirror but you. You're your biggest competition. My father always told us that growing up. Like I said, we lived on a farm. I knew from day in and day out what I had to do every day on that farm because I did it every day of my life. And it taught me to become a better person when it comes to working a job. My father always say, if you work a man's job like 8 hours a day, give them 8 hours. If you can't give them 8 hours a day, get the hell out of that job because you are worthless to the employer. You're worthless. I'm like, and I heard these years ago now as a young man, and he's 100% right. So he gave me that confidence, that understanding, that knowledge. Hey, these are things you're going to face throughout your lifetime. Right now, as a young man, I'm giving you the knowledge and the wisdom now. So as you get up in age, you can take these things with you and learn from them. That's why when I have a conversation with someone, any young man, I say to them, who are you? And I ask them, I'll be very upfront with them. Who's your heroes? And they say, well, oh, Michael Jordan is my hero, man. I'm looking at them like, hey, I understand what you're saying, but that hero does not exist in your life. That hero that you look up to, that athlete, is not the person who feeds you. Not the person that puts a roof over your head. Not the person that when you get sick can run you to the doctor because they can't do it because they have a life of their own. They're a big figure that you see on television. I understand that. But that big figure can do nothing for you but take your money. That's all he can do. And that's facts. And that was something instilled in me. I grew up in a family. My father, my stepfather was, and my father as well. They were big in baseball. They loved baseball. I liked baseball because I played it. My thing was football. But that's the way I was got into. It didn't fit my father well because he's a baseball guy. But it didn't matter because I had to take that path and go on my own. But my father understood that. He knew, hey, this guy's he's coming to his own now. As a young man, I understand it. Can't make him do things that I want anymore because he has to be up to him. And my father understood that. That's why I can sit here now and say, hey, my mother and father was my biggest heroes. Yes, my father will wear your behind out. And that's the God knows truth. If you screwed up, you better pray to God that my father didn't get onto you. Because he always said, give your heart to Jesus because that back end belongs to me. And that's why I kind of walk the thin line between good and evil with my father because he knew the type of kid I was. And all of us, matter of fact, he knew what we would do and what we would not do. He knew this about us. That's why I say, when you have those figures in your household, they are your hero. They are your everything. These are the people that mold you and shape you into the person that you need to be in life. You can follow the good path. Sometimes you can follow the bad path. That's a choice you have to make. And my father would always tell us this, and I remember this like it was yesterday. He said, son, as y'all get older as men, he talked to the men in the household, you have to pad away from your parents. You can't live in this household with us as being men, because eventually as it goes along, you're going to become more aggressive towards your parents. And I'm like, I didn't understand that then, what he was saying, and I didn't make no heads or tail of it. But as I got older, became an older male, I understand it now. Where you have grown men staying in their mother, parents, or grandparents' household as grown men, becoming aggressive. Like they taking over the household as, hey, I've seen it where grown men don't even have a job at the age of 40 years old, but they're still staying with their parent. And at that time of life, they become aggressive in the household. Because the parents have gotten older, they become more aggressive towards the parents because they have lived in the house so long, they're not working. So they begin to take your money from you. They take what's yours. I thank God my father taught us this as young men, that you can't live under your parents all your life as young men. You have to go out in this world and create your own lifestyle as a young man. And like I said, I understand it now. I did not understand it then because I thought it was just talk. I was, man, this guy's just talking, man. And I look back, from this day, I can look back and say, thank you for giving us males in the household this information. So when we became older men, we lived on our own. As we became older men, we began to make our own families and learn that you can bring your grandkids to see you, but they got to go when you go. I understand that now. I didn't understand as a young man because, back then, grandparents were grandparents back then, back in the day. And just keep it 100. Now, grandparents are a little bit different because they're a little young as grandparents now. So I can look back and say, darn, my mom and dad was right. There'll be things my mother would say. The one promise that my parents would give you it's one promise during the week you're guaranteed to do. You are going to church on Sundays. That is a guarantee. That is a promise. You can't get around it. As long as you live in that household, as my mom would say, as long as you breathe the breath in this household, you are going to church Sunday morning. You can go out on Saturday night, party all night. You can party to 3 o'clock in the morning. When it comes 8 o'clock in the morning, you're going to get up, wash up, eat your breakfast, get ready to go to church. It's going to be there for a long time. I can assure you. You get to church at 11 o'clock. No, I'm sorry, 9:30. You got 9:30. You got the 9:30 section in the morning when you get there early. And then you get out probably 1 or 2 o'clock. That's facts. And let me tell you something. Those were some of the longest days of my life as a child on Sunday. It was the longest. And like I said, I'm still in the same topic, guys. Parents were my heroes. I was giving the things that was going on throughout my life. And when it came to haircuts, Lord rest my father's soul, I love you. He would take us to this barber, who I love. He had a bunch of young men. And every time we would go to church on Sunday, we get a haircut on Saturday. We was young men then. We were very young, probably 11, 12, 13 years old. He all gets bald heads. And I never understood. I hated that. Because every time we go to church on Sunday, the girls would sit behind you and smack you on top of your head. I hated that. It was annoying as hell. Because every day this girl, beautiful young lady too, I haven't seen her in a long time, named Rita. Rita, love you, Rita. you listen to my podcast, I love you. And I tell you slapping my daggone bald head and wouldn't do nothing else, but you just want to pick. But that's what it was. That's going throughout the era I was growing up in. But back in that era, people got along. People would leave their doors unlocked. I could go next door and ask somebody, hey, you got some sugar? Mom said she'll trade you out for this. We could do that back then. But I'm just saying, these are things I've learned throughout my life from my parents as my heroes who were in my life. And that's what I'm telling you, as people of your younger generation, you got parents, allow them to be your heroes. Allow them to be your guidance in life. Listen to your parents. Some households, yes, they have one parent. That's fine. It's okay. Before my mother and father's, my birth mother and father separated, split up. My father took me with him, and my other siblings stayed with my mother. And to this day, I've always been a person that has carried that through my heart. Separation. That separates me from my children because I'm not a person that like to be, I'm trying to describe this to you. It's a little hard, a little difficult. I hate he instilled that in me. It's being with him, staying with him. I was never with my siblings. So that's why I'm kind of separate from my siblings now. I'm not as close as I want to be because of that separation has always stuck with me. I've tried to break it, but cannot break it. It sticks with me to this day. I don't hate him for it because it was up to me to break that. It was my choice to break that. I've worked hard enough to break that. And I don't hold nothing against my father. But one thing I hold against my birth father is one thing and one thing only. As a young man, my father, like I said, he loved baseball as well. Well, we had outside leagues before, and outside of the high school, before school came back around, that played. And I'll never forget this as a young man. I was the bat boy at this time. And somebody hit the ball. I guess the guy was coming home, he had to jump over the bat. My father slapped me so hard, I did a Michael Jackson and spun around in the air and hit the ground. And that's the only thing that from him that I've ever been hit for from my real father. That's the only time he ever put his hands on me. I've never been spanked by my real father or my mother. Maybe my uncles have put some work in on me. But my real parents, no. Never put their hands on me or my siblings. But my stepfather, this is what made me a man. And this is what made me a much better man. My stepfather, like I said before, y'all heard what I said. He would beat the brakes off you. It doesn't matter. He would beat the living hell out of you. I ain't talking about this little put you in the corner stuff. No, he didn't get down like that. He didn't get jiggy like that. He put them paws on you and he went to work. He go tell you, go get your switch, bring it back to me. Let me show you what a real man do. And throughout those whooping we got as a young man, it made me a better man, a much better person throughout life because I can look back at that. If he hadn't have done what he done when we was younger, we'd all be in prison probably as males, all of us. I'm serious about that. He taught us life. If I do this now, you all will be better men in the future. And he was 110% correct. It made me a much better person throughout my life because I don't forget those whoopings. I still to this day have a mark on my stomach right now. We whooping with a leather belt on my stomach right now to this day. But those whoopings back then taught me how to be a better person in my life, how to be respectful, how not to do dumb stuff that you know is not right that's going to get you in trouble. So my gratitude goes towards my parents. I am grateful. I am thankful. I am living because of them. I am forever humble. As a young man, at the age of 60, I turned 61 this June. I am so humble and grateful for my parents for doing what they've done for us as young siblings to make us where we are now. Without all that discipline we got back then, I promise you, none of us would be here now. None of us would be here this day if it wasn't for the discipline my father put upon us being young. So when you individuals you all think that your heroes are these athletes, you got it all wrong. Your heroes are your parents. It may be one parent. It may be two parents. It doesn't matter. Look up to them parents that you have. You give everything you got. You respect them. Because I've never, ever disrespected my parents. Never. Because I was afraid of my father. Being that man in that household, being that person was that breadwinner, I was afraid. I never challenged my father's authority. Never, because I knew the end game would be a bad game. So to let everybody know, my parents always were my hero. And I'm forever grateful to them. I thank God for them. I thank God for them raising me the way they raised me. It was difficult, but I learned from it and maybe become the person I am today. I may have never got in law enforcement for all them whoopings I got back then to kind of maintain me from not being a criminal. Those whoopings kept me from being a rap criminal. And I'm telling you, it makes a difference. So I'm forever grateful for that. And I'm humble for the people that my father was surrounded with, was his nieces, uncles, nephews, and all stuff. We were surrounded by all of that. It helped us grow into who the men and the women that we are today. With that, he said, as they say back then, it takes a village to raise a kid. It was a real village. It was real. We had some of the greatest neighbors growing up that also instilled things in us. You know, when I first got out of high school, my first job was working for the Mason across the road from us, sitting right across the street. Hey, come on, work for me doing brick mason. So I helped him. That was my very first job out of high school. So, but he molded me as well to be the man that I am. Hard work does not kill. Hard work makes you a better person. And that's what it did to me. It made me a much better person doing that hard work. And I'm gonna tell you, that man worked the living crap out of me. So then I ended up to get a job in construction from 1984, of August 3rd, 1984. I'll never forget the day I started, August 3rd, 1984, until February 1991. Then I decided to go and get in law enforcement. So those people helped mold me into the man that I am now from doing all that they've done with them. And that's why I say, don't ever think these people on television or somebody that you can look up to, because they don't feed your family. They don't put food in your stomach. They don't put a roof over your head. When you get sick, do they stop they doing to come down here and take you to the hospital? No, they do not. Life doesn't work that way. So I'm just letting you know now. This is you can pass this on to your children. Let them know I am here in your life because I'm your hero. I'm the person who's taking care of you when you get sick. That is me, not the individual on that TV screen. They're not taking care of you. I am. So take care of you all. Love y'all. Thank y'all.